Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth and final episode of You Skip That Ho-Ho Holidays. I'm Alex Grace.
And I'm Dan Clark.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Happy Hanukkah.
Joyous
Kwanzaa. Happy Festivus.
If you
holiday for the rest of us.
If you don't celebrate any of those, I just hope you have a nice 25th.
Yeah.
Enjoy the day off.
You know, just sit by a nice heater or a fan if you're in a warmer climate.
Or a fire. You know, some people do still have fireplaces.
Yeah, true. And just enjoy yourself.
'Tis the season to be jolly.
And we just watched a very jolly movie.
Oh, we did, yes.
Yes.
Nice segue.
A rip-roaring holiday adventure featuring the jolly old man himself, Santa Claus.
Saint Nick.
I'm talking, of course, the Netflix 2018 movie, The Christmas Chronicles.
Yes.
Starring one Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. So what'd you think, Dan?
I liked it.
It's fun.
It's a fun little romp. It wasn't quite what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the trailers for both of the movies, and they just kind of got put in a blender in my head. So
mixed up in your head. Yeah.
I was expecting a little bit more fantastical settings, maybe a little more North Pole. You see a little bit of the North Pole, but...
You do, but not enough.
It's mostly Chicago.
Yeah.
And having been to Chicago once, and only once, not a super jolly place to be.
No, not always.
No.
A little background on the movie. The movie follows Teddy and Katie Pierce, two kids who have had a rough year. They've lost their dad. Katie's managed to stay in somewhat good spirits, but Teddy's kind of gone down a bad path. He's a teenager, probably 16 or so.
Yeah, he's old enough that when he steals that car at the beginning, no one looks at them and goes, "Wait, aren't you 12?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's old enough to at least look appropriate driving a car.
Right. Katie is 10, I believe somebody says, at one point in the movie.
11, I believe. Yep, says right here on Wikipedia, he's 16, she's 11.
There you go.
Yeah.
But they decide, in a brief moment of getting along, that the best way to spend Christmas Eve with their mom out of the house is laying a trap for Santa Claus and seeing if they can catch the man on film. A very funny, almost Home Alone-like sequence where they're stringing up strings of bells so they'll hear him come in, and Katie sprinkles some baby powder around the fireplace, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I saw it on Ghost Hunters."
Yeah.
But they managed to actually catch Santa in the act of delivering presents without him knowing it, and chase him outside and manage to get aboard his sleigh without him knowing. He takes off to the next city to deliver presents, at which point Katie makes their presents known because she's a little chilly. Santa panics, the reindeer panic, the kids panic. One of the kids almost plummets to their doom. Santa saves said kid, crashes the sleigh in the process, and hijinks ensue.
They got to get back the reindeer, the hat, the sack of toys.
And repair the sleigh.
And repair the sleigh, all with enough time to deliver all the presents before the end of the night.
Yes, quickly approaching.
What a conundrum.
It is. Yeah. Quite the conundrum.
But, yeah, I liked it. It's a little hokey.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, I mean, Christmas movies tend to be a little hokey.
Yeah.
White Christmas had its share of hokiness. Arthur Christmas did, so, you know.
I mean, Christmas with the Cranks is pretty much hokiness all the way down.
Yeah, it's hokey to the core. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with hokiness, but it's a little saccharine at times.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, that's just Christmas.
Yeah, that's not a ding against it. It's just the nature of a Christmas movie, I think.
Yeah.
Or some things you liked.
I really like Kurt Russell as Santa.
He's fantastic.
He has kind of an old world Santa about him.
I love that costume.
The costume where like the fur is not pure white. It's got kind of some color to it. Same with his hair and beard. He's got white hair and a beard, but it's got some gray in there, so he looks more like a real person than just a drawing or something like that. I also liked that so often in movies like this, there's the whole bit of the parents don't believe in Santa Claus. You get that in The Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And there's always a thing of where do they think the presents come from?
Yeah.
Like, if they're the ones filling the stockings, where do they think the presents come from? In this one, everyone has just bought into Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Pretty much. The mother, at the end, they're opening presents. Like, oh, look, they're presents from Santa. And she's the only person that could have bought them and put them under the tree. And she's like, oh, yeah, cool, Santa presents.
Yeah. So she's like, oh, man, I thought you were going to be on the naughty list this year.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only objection to the Santa presents is, man, like, you've been kind of rough this year. So, yeah, I like that. It's just, yeah, Santa's real.
And what a contrast in ways of handling Santa between this and Arthur Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I know you were talking about having some objections to the more techie Santa of that, even though, those objections go away because it's a wonderful movie.
Right.
This Santa, everything just kind of gets explained away with, it's magic, nerd.
Yeah.
Quit asking questions.
Yeah. And I like that.
I like both.
It just lets it be magic.
Yeah.
To an absurd level.
Yes.
But I'm fine with that.
Santa has control of wormholes, which is kind of awesome.
We're all nerds here. His coat's bigger on the inside.
It is.
Yep.
And so is his present sack is also bigger on the inside.
So, Santa, Time Lord, maybe.
Possibly. He is a little tricksy, like the Time Lord.
I also like that Santa had just a little bit of an attitude on him. I don't like grumpy Santa Claus all that much, which shows up more and more. Kind of the, just Ed Asner, an elf, is about as grumpy as I like my Santa.
Right.
Like, I remember seeing that the first time and going, wow, he just kind of spun around with, like, a stick, ready to clobber James Caan.
Yeah.
That's just right on the edge of too grumpy, and you'll see in a lot of stuff now. It's just kind of the thing to make Santa seem like a grumpy, almost curmudgeonly guy.
Yeah.
This is the sweet spot for me.
I
like this.
Where he's just a little snarky.
A little snarky. He's got some wit and a little edge on him. I like that he takes exception to look, I take care of myself.
Yeah.
You don't live this long by loading up on carbs. Every time he sees the traditional depiction of Santa, he's like, look at this. Like, I'm flat as a board down here, man. Yeah. Like,
Does my butt look that big to you?
Yeah. He doesn't ho-ho-ho either.
That's a myth.
Yeah, I like the idea of, I've been doing this for so long, some stuff just got made up.
Yeah.
One time at a party, I laughed and it sounded a little too jolly, and all of a sudden it's a ho-ho-ho, Yeah, I like that. I really liked that depiction. And again, I like the way they just kind of rolled with the magic.
Yeah.
It's also really nice. He doesn't have a huge role, but it's nice to see Lamorne Morris and stuff.
Oh, in anything.
I mean, we're both fans of New Girl, so seeing Winnie the Bish is just a thrill a minute. And he's basically playing Weston.
Yeah, he's playing a police officer who's all too ready to believe in Santa Claus. He saw the flying reindeer and everyone's acting like he's crazy. Later, Santa creates a band in jail with instruments he summoned from his pockets.
Yeah. Which are bigger on the inside.
Yeah. Lamorne Morris's character, who I don't think actually gets a name.
He's Mikey Jameson.
Yeah. He goes, and the reindeer just flew away. I quit.
Yeah. And if he'd said, I quit, I'm going back to Los Angeles to hang with my friends, I'd be like, that's a perfectly reasonable thing for... And again, it's not just that he acts like him, it's if you haven't seen New Girl, the character does become a police officer at some point.
Yeah.
Later on in the show. So, it's good to see him. And I like that something that happens a lot in movies like this, the police officers weren't portrayed as being bumbling. They were all capable. It wasn't played for laughs. It was just funny stuff was happening around them, and there weren't a whole lot of real cheap laughs in this.
No.
Which is refreshing. There were a couple.
But there weren't many. And most of them were at the expense of those crooks towards the end of the movie.
Right. Yeah, and those elves were getting ready to, do some serious...
Yes!
serious, unfortunate damage to Teddy there.
Yeah, and one of them has a chainsaw.
Yeah, going right up...
Right up the middle there.
Right up the middle. From the bottom on up.
Yeah, if you know what we mean.
It gets real close.
Yeah. And he's really disappointed when Katie stops him.
Yeah.
I never get to have any fun.
The elves, I was a little worried when we kept seeing little glimpses of them. Like, is this going to be really bad CGI? Like a monstrosity kind of thing? And I was glad that they actually looked pretty good. Yeah,
they're very cute.
You never know with these, direct-to-video / direct-to-streaming movies, how much money they were willing to put into the special effects, and they did a good job on this one.
Weirdly enough, something that didn't occur to me, this is actually produced by the same people who made Christmas with the Cranks.
Really?
Yeah, both of these were Chris Columbus movies.
I don't think I knew...
1492 pictures.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that Christmas with the Cranks was Christopher Columbus, but I did see 1492 pictures at the beginning of this one.
There's a brief moment with the elves where I'm like, are Santa's elves gremlins? Mogwai, I guess.
Mogwai, yeah.
That's what they were before they're gremlins. because they kind of look like them.
Little
pointy
mogwai.
ears,
Yeah, the real big ears.
big cute eyes.
Speaking a weird language.
Speaking a weird language that sounds vaguely Swedish for some reason. This movie's version of Elvish is very Scandinavian, which fits with some lore in some countries of Santa Claus. Like you said, it's a very fun version of Santa. A very fun version of his powers and abilities, too.
Yeah.
Santa is bordering on a DC comic speedster at times.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't go land on every single house. He just kind of jumps from rooftop to rooftop.
At one point, like, slam dunking a present through the chimney.
Yeah.
As he does it.
Yeah, Kurt Russell seems like he's having a blast with this.
He does. It's obvious that he's having a great time.
Right.
That makes the movie so much better. Like, I think this would have been utterly forgettable with anybody else's Santa.
Anyone who wasn't fully bought in
Right.
on it. Like, you have to, this is a movie where they had to find someone who is passionate about it.
Mm-hmm. What are some other thoughts?
I thought it was an interesting decision to leave it all in Chicago.
Yeah.
It makes for a good setting for the movie, though it's kind of, it could be any major city that gets snow.
It was an odd choice. I think it works in some ways.
It just had to be a city. It could have been New York City.
And
it could have been...
It had to be like Chicago or New York. It had to be one of those places that's a little cold, a little unfeeling.
Detroit.
Kind of one of those places where you can believe Christmas spirit is taking a nosedive.
Right. I did notice at the end when they're actually... You know, because I just got a couple places in North America left, and then I'm set. They take a really weird path around.
Yes! When they like go out to Honolulu and then come back to Vancouver.
Yeah. Denver down to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And then over to, Sacramento. And then he's going at the beginning from Lowell, Massachusetts, where I've been.
Yeah.
I don't have any there's no stories there, up to Concord, New Hampshire, where I've also been.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it looks like he's taking okay, maybe he's just hitting major cities up the eastern seaboard there, but then, yeah, it's just kind of an all over the place
All over the place, yeah.
I mean, they get the job done. Who am I to, argue with results? But so what are your feelings on this one?
This is one that popped up out of nowhere.
It was one of those one year, I think it came out the same year as like Klaus. Netflix just released a couple Christmas movies that people on social media are like, guys, these are really good.
Yeah, it's not a Hallmark movie. No hate to people who like Hallmark movies. They have their place.
Yeah.
They're very cute.
Right.
But this had a budget, had actors you actually know and not just from a TV show.
It put time and effort into the message that it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a Christmas good kind of movie.
Not liking Christmas bad. And then when the second one comes out, really expands upon the lore. Man, they went some deep cuts in Santa Claus history for this. But yeah, I remember seeing it, and I was over with my mom, and she was like, hey, there's this new Kurt Russell Santa Claus movie. You want to watch it? And I'm like, sure, why not?
Kurt Russell being Santa Claus, that sounds just crazy enough to work.
Yeah.
And it is.
And we got to the end of it and went, that was actually good.
Yeah.
That was fun. I feel the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
And then really ever since, it's when we kind of find ourselves watching almost every year.
Right.
I know my mom does. It's a fun movie.
It's a really solid Christmas movie.
It is.
In a genre that is full of just cheap shots. Those Hallmark movies or something you watch it and you go, yeah, they're going to get married by New Year's and divorced by Valentine's Day. It doesn't feel, there's no romance in it. The main characters are, 16 and 11.
Yeah, and you don't even see Mrs. Claus until the very end of the movie.
Yeah. Played by Goldie Hawn.
Played by Goldie Hawn.
Which is a nice little touch.
It was. Fun fact, not the only family member in that.
Oh, really?
The dad that passes away, you see in the flashbacks at the beginning,
and a little bit at the very end,
is Goldie Hawn's son.
Oh, nice.
And then I think it's actually one of both of their grandkids is named in the list when she's calling out names where the presents go.
Right.
It's one of the names in there.
Nice.
I was like, that's fun.
I will say, when they were showing growing up stuff,
yeah,
it starts off with just a montage of Christmases throughout. And as soon as they showed the dad, I'm like, God, this has dead dad written all over it. And
it's got classic Disney movie.
Yeah, the dad did not feel like a character we needed to get super invested in. We just had to accept that the other characters were super invested in him.
Yep.
And then he made some reference to being a firefighter. I'm like, yep, there it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Yep.
So, and that's not supposed to be a surprise. He's gone 5 minutes into the movie.
Less than that.
Yeah, it's at the end of the opening montage. And he does seem like a nice guy.
Seems like a great guy.
I understand why the kids are, apart from just dad.
Right.
But, He seems like the kind of guy that was a good dad, and the loss would be rough and everything. Definitely gives off the big on Christmas vibes, so Christmas would be a rough time.
Like you said, he's not really a character in it, but his loss is a big character in it.
He's a motivation. I did notice, and we were talking about this briefly before we started recording, I found out that the mother is played by Kimberly Williams Paisley, who's married to Brad Paisley, who I referenced a song by in the last episode.
Yeah, how about that?
If you haven't heard it, 365 Days to Go off his Christmas album. Check it out.
It's funny when things like that line up.
Yep.
I also thought it was funny that at the very end of this movie, they almost missed a kid, which kind of echoed back to Arthur Christmas. I was like, oh, wow, there's some weird similarities between these movies.
Yeah. They also end up in Mexico. That's where the last present is. So, yeah, they almost miss a kid, and it is in Mexico City, not Trelew.
Not Trelew. That would have been really funny, though.
It would have been, yeah.
Like, wow. Any other thoughts before we move into a little bit of trivia? And
not anything in particular. It's not a movie that it doesn't inspire thought. It inspires emotion.
Yeah, it inspires a lot of whimsy, especially. There's a couple of decent, heavy emotional beats. They're a little sappy.
I mean, you throw the big emotional beats to an 11 and a 16-year-old. It's
going to be. Yeah.
That's a lot of where the hokiness comes in.
Yeah. But honestly, they did a great job.
They did a good job.
They're funny.
Yeah. Not during the emotional beats, they're not. But they're funny when they're supposed to be funny. They're not when they're not supposed to be. They brought it.
Yeah. Couple of trivia facts. So at one point in the movie, Santa offers a guy a mint condition Mickey Mantle card in exchange for his Porsche.
And he almost takes it.
Well, no, he does take it, and then his wife takes it out of his hand and rips it in half. A real mint condition Mickey Mantle rookie card would be worth $2.8 million.
Which is, I believe, a fair trade for a Porsche.
Yeah, more than a fair trade.
Yeah, I think so.
That's why the guy just absolutely devastated.
Right.
One we both caught is the valet at the restaurant is watching Stranger Things on his iPad. All the more obvious when you have the captions on.
Yeah. You got Dustin going, she's our friend and she's crazy.
Yeah.
Which is a great scene.
That's a great scene.
If you haven't seen Stranger Things, watch Stranger Things.
Not sponsored.
No. But if you want to sponsor us, go for it.
Go for it, Netflix.
And Duffer Brothers, if you're listening, I won't say this very often, stop listening to the podcast and get to work on the next season.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you're done, get caught up.
The restaurant where Santa tries to get a lift is called Nick's Place, which is a nod to the bar in A Wonderful Life.
Oh, is it?
Which is called Nick's.
I assumed he just went in there because St. Nick.
Here's a wild one. This may or may not be, depending on how you count some things, Kurt Russell's 100th screen credit.
Really?
And there's some debate. Still, pretty crazy.
Congratulations to him.
Congratulations, Kurt. That covers most of the trivia.
Cool.
Kind of another one of those movies that just, it
it's
does
all
what it says on the can,
Yeah.
That's what it says.
It's all on the screen there. Our final Christmas question.
Okay, I am ready.
And I wanted to save it until after this one because I knew roughly what this movie was about. Who is your favorite on-screen Santa?
That's tough. Mm-hmm. In fact, I was talking with somebody just the other day about this. That, when you close your eyes and think of Santa, who are you picturing?
Right.
We kicked around some ideas. I will do a top 3.
Okay.
Third place would actually be Kurt Russell in this movie.
I can see that.
I enjoy him. I feel like he's a really realistic version of Santa, grounded in spite of his ability to turn into coal dust and bound through the air. But yeah, just a really fun version of Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. Second place would be Tim Allen in the Santa Claus movies.
Okay.
I loved those growing up.
Scott Calvin.
Yeah, especially the second one. He really feels like Santa in that one. There is no third Santa Claus movie.
Right.
There are the first two, and the Disney Plus show's pretty good too. Always loved him. But the Santa Claus that I am always picturing when I think of Santa Claus, and you're going to laugh when I say this.
I might not.
The Santa Claus from Ernest Saves Christmas.
He would be like my number 2. Yeah.
Yeah. He's fantastic.
He is.
He looks, sounds, and feels like Santa Claus at all times.
And it's odd that he's also the voice of the Sultan from Aladdin.
Yep.
And he fits both of those very well.
Perfect.
I guess they both have big, bushy, white beards.
Yeah, they're both jolly.
Yep.
But yeah, I just always loved that version
of
Santa.
I wasn't expecting to need to do a top 3. I'd say Number 3, it might be this one. I'm trying to think of other Santas that I really enjoy from movies. Ed Asner I liked. We've already talked about him, but he's just a little bit
grumpy.
on the grumpy side.
Mr. Elf.
Though I will say that one of my favorite Christmas movie moments is from Elf, when James Caan's character starts singing and the sleigh goes over him and the music swells and he's cheering Merry Christmas and Buddy looks out at the back, and it's just, it gets me, right there every time. Number 2 would be Ernest Saves Christmas, and number 3 is one that I know you haven't seen and one that I almost did this year. Richard Attenborough of Jurassic Park fame, to our generation anyways, plays Santa Claus in the remake of Miracle on 34th Street, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, that's one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Have heard good things, though.
He brings a lot of the energy of I thought a lot of this was common sense. Like, I thought you guys knew how I did this.
Yeah.
There's a part where someone is talking to him and says, well, I've been to the North Pole. I didn't see any sign of elves or workshops or reindeer or sleighs. He goes, it's in the realm of the imagination. God, I always thought that was perfectly clear. He kind of has the vibe of someone who's like, God, I gotta talk to my PR guy.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta get on top of this. Like, we don't want people coming up there looking for me. It's
cold. It's awful.
It's inhospitable. Unless you know how to enter the realm of the imagination, which I do, but then again, I am a jolly old elf.
Yeah. Might have to put that on the list for next year.
We've worked the schedule out for next year. I think I only get one Christmas movie next year, and that's the one. So
nice.
Yeah, other than that, I kind of like the one from Frosty. I don't know if you want to count that as a movie or just a special. I don't know why I'm having a hard time thinking of other Santas.
I mean, there's so many.
There are, yeah.
There are a lot of Santas.
But yeah, my top one, I'd say this top 2 would definitely be locked in. Kurt Russell, Ed Asner would kind of be vying for 3rd place.
One I didn't expect to enjoy, but ended up liking okay. I just saw that new movie, Red One, with The Rock. J.K. Simmons was a halfway decent Santa Claus.
Nice.
And kind of in the same vein as Kurt Russell's Santa Claus, he's a very fit guy. There's a joke at one point that he burns 4 million calories on Christmas Eve. Of course I gotta eat all these cookies.
Right.
I get to every house in the world in one night.
Yeah.
You got a carbo load for that, buddy.
A movie I recognize that it's not a good movie, but I like it anyways. Fred Claus. Paul Giamatti actually makes a decent Santa Claus.
I see that.
He's a little more exasperated and a little more frantic energy to him. I like him a lot. And of course, I'll watch Paul Giamatti in just about anything.
Oh, same.
He's a fantastic actor. I believe for this coming year, I have at least one Paul Giamatti movie in there, and we'll talk about him more then. But
nice.
He's got really intense eyes that really communicate a character that is really fantastic.
It's always funny to me that my introduction to Paul Giamatti was as a kid, seeing the movie Big Fat Liar with him, Frankie Muniz.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers for that. I've never seen that, but that's my last tough Christmas question of the year, I think.
You made me think this year. I liked that.
And feel free to, for any of the, I should have been doing this all month long. If you want to get in the comments and give us your answers.
Tell us your favorite Santa.
Yeah, you can go back and do the other ones too.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it. Would you like to tell people about where they can do that?
That's a great idea, Dan. In fact, I'll do that right now.
Yeah.
If you are a person who likes to use Facebook, you can find us by searching the words "you skipped that" with spaces, question mark at the end. That'll bring you right to our Facebook page.
That's also available for people who don't like using Facebook but tolerate it.
But do it anyways.
So that you can keep up with family members who haven't moved on to other social media.
Yeah, great place to keep up with friends from high school and stuff. If you're one of those hip young kids who's moved on, and by that I mean like 30-somethings.
Yeah.
The hip young kids are onto something we probably don't know about yet. But if you're one of those 30-somethings, or 30-something at heart, who uses Instagram or Threads or TikTok, we're on all 3 of those. And you can find us at You Skip That, all one word, no question mark at the end. That's where you can find us.
Nice.
We'd be happy to talk movies with you.
Make it happen. Yeah. You reach out, we'll reach right back. Well, lots of the day we don't have a whole lot better to do than just look around social media.
It's true.
Yeah.
Especially on the weekend. But anyway, this is the end of the ho-ho holidays.
Yes.
We hope you had a wonderful season.
We're going to ease you back into regular program next week. We're doing a not quite Christmas movie. It's a movie that takes place around Christmas, but I would not call it a Christmas movie.
Well,
by
there
any
you go.
stretch. Yeah. Think like Batman Returns or Lethal Weapon or something like that.
There you go.
It's
not Die Hard. I've seen Die Hard.
No, it's not Die Hard, but I would put Die Hard in that category.
Yeah, I would too. It's not a Christmas movie, but it takes place at Christmas, so I still watch it over Christmas.
You're allowed to watch it whenever you want.
In fact, I do. I usually watch Die Hard about twice a year at least.
Yeah.
It's just a good movie.
Yeah. Now I have a machine gun.
Ho.
Anyways, I think it's probably about time we got on out of here and let the Christmas season do what it will do.
All right. Well, don't forget to turn off the Christmas lights.
No, definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah, because, power bell and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't need up too much power.
Yeah. You gotta unplug the inflatable snowman.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got all that covered?
I'll take care of it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we'll see you next week for one more to close out the year. Then we'll see what 2025 has in store.
Hopefully good stuff.
All good.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.